What a day, what a day, what a day. All right, off we go. I'm Lynette Anderson, and I'm an interpretive naturalist and restoration specialist for Bellwin Conservancy. And what that means is I do a lot of guided hikes and walks and talks and programs. I also do restoration work, so that's the bulk of our work here at Bellwin, is we're restoring and reconstructing native habitats, mostly prairie and oak savanna. I grew up on a farm and went to school at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. They introduced this new minor called environmental education, and now it's mainstream and everybody's doing it, but that was a beginning there, and it just intrigued me to think about how much I love nature and being out in it, and to be able to take other people out and help inspire them to love it and care for it and be concerned about it. That was just like the aha or the big yes, and so that's when it all started. It just feels good to give back, which I think is a huge value that I have and that we as Americans have. I think probably the overarching value for me is that we have a community and that we help each other. And we come together to work on the land and to heal the landscape. But then if something happens to someone in our group, if they get sick or they have a need, there's this whole new community of inspired and caring individuals that will leap forward to help. And I think that's huge. Everybody that I talk to and teach, you know, they love it. Nature is a part of all of us, and everybody's got their favorite experience or favorite story. And so to build on that, when I'm talking to them, you know, we all need that. And there's less land available due to development and what have you. So I think just to build an awareness that we've lost habitats and the creatures that depend on that and the plants that depend on that. So my goal is to just make people aware of that and then help them understand or realize or learn about ways that they can bring nature more intimately into their own lives via their backyards or whatever that is. So take your hand, lift it up high, and then bring it right down in the back and give yourself a little pat.
Oh, that feels so good.
Awesome job, look at this, woohoo!
Nice.
San Pedro is a very coastal town. I was always around the ocean growing up. Went fishing with my dad and my grandfather. Been surfing, scuba diving, just about every sort of water sport in the area. I love the ocean because it is where life started. It provides for us. It keeps our ecosystem balanced. It creates jobs. It's a place that has also provided me with a living. So it's been hugely important, and I've always felt very connected to it. At the hatchery, it's kind of like a day spa for the animals that we grow here. We do everything from keeping the water clean, keeping the animals well fed. We rinse them down every other day. But general husbandry is just making sure the animals are happy, healthy, eating, and are living in the right water quality and water parameters. We go from hatching these eggs that are literally 50 microns in size, that aren't even a living animal, to something that we get to enjoy on our dinner plate within 9 months. We all get to enjoy some of our best times of our lives with family and friends having delicious food. And being part of that process is very rewarding.
I love gardening. I especially love gardening with native plants, and I think any opportunity I have to kind of work a little bit more hands-on with people in the community, and I find it really gratifying and fun. I'm Brett Stolbelstead. I'm a landscape restoration specialist with the Washington Conservation District. Well, it started with a site visit, and there was this big shady open space that we were trying to re-envision as a space for education and as a space to provide habitat and resources to pollinators and birds. We started with a general layout, trying to envision how people could move through the space. Came up with this loop design, fairly simple. Guests will come in through the entrance here around a central focal point and back out. And on the perimeters, we have massings or groups of native species that would, provide some aesthetic interest, but also primarily provide pollen and nectar resources to pollinators and food for birds. What I'm hoping that this project can help solve is our loss of habitat, especially in urban spaces in Minnesota, that have led to insect and bird declines statewide, nationwide, globally. But I think this project specifically, I think, is a great opportunity to be a shared educational space for the neighborhood in this community, to hopefully inspire other people to do projects like this to help reverse insect decline, habitat loss, and loss of biodiversity. Well, I think conservation has long been an American value. In some ways, I feel like we've lost touch with that value in recent years, and so I think being able to do these kinds of projects with your neighbors and community members, I think it kind of brings us back. In some ways that we've lost that experiential connection to these places and the environment. So I'm hoping that projects like this can remind us of that. I hope that people come away inspired to do some of this work on their own and reach out to people who have done this successfully, and just gather as much information and guidance as you can.
There's misconception of impoverished areas deemed historically disenfranchised, and the desires are not much different from someone in a wealthier neighborhood where there is great access to nutritious food. So we have folks from this neighborhood who have a real desire for a better, healthier way of living. Every time we're open, there's at least 500 people that come through here between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. We create an option for people to walk from their homes to source their produce versus having to drive a distance. There were a few memorable moments that we collected that created the thought of urban agriculture as a vehicle to help people re-enter after prison. I think in large part because there's a lot of parallels that can be drawn between planting a seedling and nurturing it and someone's growth. So it unlocks the potential of people and plants, but it also creates perspective as much as it creates access to fresh and nutritious food. The food we grow has to be wholeheartedly grown. We pay attention to what we put into the soil, how we tend the plant all throughout its development, but the same goes for our team. The reason why we want to do things with excellence is because the people who receive the food we grow ought to have reflected to them the beauty and dignity that they are. And I think when you work towards excellence, you really work wholeheartedly.
Hey, square foot gardening. Really simple technique. Kind of the basis of it, it can be applied anywhere. The easiest way is a 4 foot by 4 foot box. Gives us 16 squares to work with. Yeah, I would say in general, good for a small family to start here. See it, if you need to expand, then you expand. It's simple yet profound. My buddy Pierre coined that one about gardening, and it's start small, take a 5-gallon bucket and grow one thing you like, put one tree in the ground, whatever, and start from there and then expand outward. And I think there's just no replacing the joy of being able to cultivate your own sustenance, right? To grab a nectarine off of that tree, fantastic for me. Tastes better than anything I'm gonna get in the market, to me. Partially because it's sitting in my yard and I know what it took to get there. So I think there's a little bit of a journey there. And it's just fun. It roots us back to where we were all coming from, right? Which is growing and cultivating things and sharing those things with each other. So, and don't be afraid of failure. It'll teach you that one. You're gonna fail. It's great. It's awesome. Cool. Yeah.